Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. It is Wednesday, November the 12th. I always have to look at to check, Jay, what date it is and what day it is on my computer. Wednesday, November 24th. This is Wake Up with RayGQue, presented by Bets TV. We're happy to be here today on this Wednesday before Thanksgiving. For those of us that celebrate the Thanksgiving holiday, I asked Jordan before we started, it's like, Jay, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? He's like, bro, that was like a month ago for us. I keep forgetting that he is not from this country. But, Jay, how are you doing this morning? And what do you plan on doing tomorrow while we are all off stuffing our faces watching football?
Well, my job, to keep this show afloat. On Monday, we had a bit of an issue with the camera. We had a few things go wrong, but it's okay. I have some time now to troubleshoot, to get the show on the rails again, and we're going to be back better than ever on Monday. That's something we're doing, baby. I got to do some packing because we're moving on December 16th. So that'll be fun. But outside of that, man, it's just a little mini vacation for me, which is great. And I'm excited for it. It'll be good. But yeah, Thanksgiving was it was a month ago. When you guys are out celebrating Columbus colonizing the United States, we are giving thanks.
Oh boy. All right. Oh boy. Let's get off of that and say good morning to the people that tap in every day. I just want to say Bruning, Ty, Chris, Lindsey Mack. Lindsey Mack, I gotta know, are you man or woman? You're so supportive of the show. You're here every damn day. I just want to give you a shout out, Lindsey Mack. You are a dope viewer, and we appreciate your subscribership and your wake upness. I don't know what the hell you do. You're up, you are up early with us every day, and we appreciate you, Bruno. We know you got a lot going on with Campus to Canton, so we appreciate you tapping in. Woman, I told you, Lindsey Mack. We got the ladies loving the Wake Up with RayG show. I love it, baby. I love it. No, we appreciate you, honestly, as we roll into sort of this holiday season, as we round out this 2021 year. We just want to continue to grow the show, do better, keep you all entertained, give you actionable content. That's what we strive to do. And that's what the whole Bets TV lineup does. I'm telling you, I keep saying it every day. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out the other content creators, man. There's some dope people out here really, really have given their life's passion to help us make some money in these crazy games that we like. So give them a shout out. Check them out. I know y'all rock with me, but there's some other dope people in the Bets TV lineup too. So make sure you go to betstv.com. Check them out. But Jay, Chris said it's 2 a.m. Here where I am. Oh God, 2 a.m. Good grief. Lindsey Mack said work from home. It's a beautiful thing. Top dogs, what's going down? Reese, I don't know if I've seen you in here before, but good morning to you. We appreciate it. But news, Jay, we got a lot of news. You put a lot of news on this show sheet before the holiday break. We will not be here tomorrow or Friday because us Americans, we do celebrate the day of thanks and giving and all of that good stuff. So we'll be out Thursday and Friday, but we'll be back bright and early on Monday morning. So just want to drop that at the beginning of the show. But news, former Dallas Cowboys head coach and former offensive coordinator for the New York Giants, Jason Garret, fired after 26 games. It's crazy to see how far Jason Garret has fallen. I remember when he was the disciple of Bill Parcells and he was the hottest thing smoking. Everybody wanted a piece of Jason Garret, and it started off really well for the Cowboys early, but I mean, he's just predictable, and it's crazy. It only took the Giants 26 games to figure out that Jason Garret wasn't the answer. I believe it was Marcus Mosher that tweeted it out that said it took the Giants 26 games to figure out Jason Garret wasn't it. The Dallas Cowboys kept him for like 157 games before they realized. I'm just like, such a Dallas Cowboys thing right there. But Jason Garret no longer there, and Freddie Kitchens will be taking over the play calling duties. I honestly can't remember the Freddie Kitchens era in Cleveland because it was so short. All I want to know, is this good or bad for Saquon Barkley? Do you have any idea? Jay, look, Bruning, I'm looking at you as the resident Cleveland Browns truther, Baker Mayfield apologist. Is this good or bad for Saquon Barkley? I honestly have no idea.
I think it couldn't get worse is kind of the best way to look at it. You look at Freddie Kitchens, what he did as a head coach, not very good, but what he did as an interim head coach play caller, pretty good with Baker Mayfield. So I think, the whole point is they want to speed up this offense. They want to obviously become less predictable. And most importantly, they want to find out what they have in Daniel Jones. Jason Garret for 26 games didn't really tell them a whole lot. And the reason why they kept him apparently was because they wanted consistency for Daniel Jones year to year with play callers and system and all of that. They're hoping Freddie Kitchens can get that in line like they did with Baker Mayfield. And I'm assuming that's the reason why they're having Freddie Kitchens come in. Remember, he was brought in to be the tight end coach. Now he's the play caller. I thought he was promoted to the OC, but I was actually watching Ian Rappaport this morning, and he's the one who clarified, saying he's not going to be the official OC. He's just going to be calling the plays for the Giants going forward.
So who's the OC? Joe Judge?
I don't know if they have an OC. They just fired their OC, and I don't know who got promoted within, but Freddie Kitchens going to be calling the plays, which could be okay.
Well, Bruning said it was a good thing. He said as the play caller, he was really good. The second half averaged close to the greatest show on turf per game average. That's when they had Nick Chubb breakout. They traded Carlos Hyde because of it. They had a late playoff run that year, got Baker all the hype and commercials.
Yeah.
So blame Freddie Kitchen for all the Baker Mayfield commercials that we see on our TV screen every single Sunday. Okay, so I have no clue. We made the graphic, and I'm just going to show it, but I'm going to preface it by saying we don't know what's going to happen. But apparently the Bears fired, then unfired, never fired. He's going to be fired after the Thursday game. Matt Nagy, I don't know. We honestly don't know. Jay made the graphic. I'm going to show it. A lot of people are like, oh, my God, stop being so mean. It's got to be so hard on Matt Nagy. I have no sympathy for Matt Nagy. I don't advocate for anybody losing their job. But Matt Nagy will resurface in the NFL if he is indeed fired by the Chicago Bears as a coordinator somewhere. He's going to be just fine. I don't know how something like that gets misreported and leaked, and then it's like, oh, they're gonna, coaches rarely get fired on a short week, but I don't know. I honestly, I guess we'll see after tomorrow. That game is going to be terrible. No Justin Fields. I mean, whether it's Jared Goff or Tim Boyle, does it even matter? Honestly, if the Bears lose to Chicago, Matt Nagy probably won't make it on the plane or to the parking lot. They'll just say, go, leave all your stuff in the office. What he's done to that Chicago Bears team, it's crazy to think. Just literally 3 years ago, Jay, Mitchell Trubisky was an MVP frontrunner, an MVP candidate going into the season behind Matt Nagy coming from Kansas City. I don't know what's going to happen. We don't know, but we will see if Matt Nagy will remain the head coach of the Chicago Bears. Probably doesn't deserve it, but we'll figure out more. Brandon said no sympathy for Suck. He's going to be fine. We'll see. Bears are just a cluster. They're a cluster. Penn State locked up their head coach, James Franklin, to a new 10-year deal. We're seeing more and more of these college coaches get these long, extended 10-year contracts. Jimbo Fisher, we saw Mel Tucker get a 10-year deal, now James Franklin. This is great because I had no interest in having him as the head coach of USC. There was a lot of smoke and chatter about that. But I am very glad that James Franklin is staying far away from Southern California, and I have my fingers crossed. There are some insiders at USC that say Brian Kelly, the head coach of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, is considering or is one of the hot names for the USC head coaching job. And as a lifelong Trojans fan, I am down on bended knee praying that Brian Kelly comes to USC. I really hope that happens for the program. They need a complete culture shift at USC. Dorian DTR, Thompson Robinson, is scoring touchdowns and signing autographs in the middle of the game. Did you see that? Did you see the disrespect that was DTR?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, goes to the end zone.
He got fined, eh?
Did he get fined? No, he's college. They don't fine college kids.
I don't know. I saw something. I was like, because that's how I ended up seeing it. Was I didn't see it during the game. I didn't really see it after. But a report surfaced up about maybe he didn't get fined, but there was some disciplinary action towards DTR because obviously he signed someone's hat in the middle of the game. I was
middle of the game, touchdown, gets to the end zone. So funny though, hilarious. Autographs. Loved it. The most disrespectful thing that's happened to USC in a very long time. So we need a full culture shock. Klay Thompson participated in his first full practice with the Warriors. Head coach Steve Kerr reported that there's no set date for when Klay's going to return. They just want to build up his stamina, his basketball playing speed. And it's crazy to think that we have not seen Klay Thompson play basketball for almost 2 years now. Just a series of unfortunate events. And wasn't it right before, the day before the NBA draft last year, right? Before the not this past NBA draft, but the LaMelo draft. It was like the day of or the day before he tore his Achilles tendon, right before that draft. I'm almost positive that's how that went down. And then the year before, it was a torn ACL in the was it in the NBA Finals?
NBA Finals,
NBA versus the
Finals.
Raptors. So 2 years in a row, Klay Thompson has been out. Interested to see how he fits back. I know he's going to fit back in with the Warriors, but just how he looks. How old is Klay now? Is Klay 30? Is he? He should be.
He might be 30. Let me look it up. 30.
Man, 2 years zapped off of that career, but it's good that Klay Thompson is back on the basketball court, practicing, playing, and is only going to make that Warriors team even more dangerous as they make another playoff and NBA Finals push. And I'll let you take this one because you've talked about this young player quite a bit, and one of your favorite young guys in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, so shortstop for the Tampa Bay Rays, Wander Franco, got a 12-year extension worth $182 million guaranteed. Now, Ray, I don't even know if you know who Wander Franco is. I remember in the middle of this.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Jordan? He is frozen.
Did you lose me?
Yeah, we lost you for a minute. You froze up. I got you off screen. Go back. You're back. You're good. Go. You talked all that
Okay, so Wander Franco got his $182 million.
No. You talked all that trash about my camera not working, and then you froze up. And I did you a favor because you were looking crazy as hell. So I did you a favor to get you off the screen. Now go back. You don't have to speed rush. You're okay.
All right. So Wander Franco, 12-year extension, $182 million. 12th year is a club option worth $25 million. But it's important to note that Wander Franco has only played 70 games in his MLB career so far. 70 games, and he just got a 12-year extension from the cheapest team in all of baseball. This is a monumental signing for the Tampa Bay Rays because they don't pay anybody, but they decided to pay Wander Franco. But it's one of those questions, Ray, and I have to ask you this question because, it's kind of the philosophy of contracts in general. In baseball, you have 6 years, basically, where you have a player on a discount for the most part. Mm-hmm. But if they're really, really good, maybe you want to sign them early. We've seen this now with Ronald Acuna. We saw it with your boy Fernando Tatis. But what are we going to do with Wander Franco? Like, he's only played 70 games. What if he sucks? Like, there is an opportunity that maybe he just flames out. And so for me, it's like, have the Rays taken this too far? Again, Acuna got signed in his first season. We've seen Alex Bregman got signed early. This is all to avoid arbitration dollars down the line. But this is very early. And for a team like the Rays to do this,
right,
this is really surprising. You may see the Yankees do this. You may see the Red Sox do this. You may see the Dodgers do this. Teams with tons of money that can afford to throw it away. But the Rays, they're penny pushers, man. They don't do stuff like this. So it's surprising to see this.
Well, what I don't know enough about is in Major League Baseball, how often do players renegotiate their deals after they sign them? I don't hear a lot about that in Major League Baseball.
They don't.
You see it in the NFL. Let's just say Jamar Chase signs an extension in 2 years, right? He signs a contract extension in 2 years, and then a year later he goes out there and goes for 2,000 receiving yards. Like the next season, you see those players say, I'm holding out. I want another extension. Like, I'm worth more than that. Devontae Smith just got paid more. I'm still doing it. So I don't know how Major League Baseball operates in that regard. But
it's more like the NBA. So you think of the NBA, right? Because they're fully guaranteed contracts for the most part.
Right.
So they don't do a whole lot of renegotiating. You look at it more like the NBA.
So in my opinion, if you've got someone like Wander Franco, who's like, he's like it, this 12-year deal 4 years from now is going to look like pennies. Like, you just get it done. You just get it done early. You give them the bag. You make them happy. It's fully guaranteed. And honestly, in 4 years, and I saw somebody ask the question, who's better, Lindor or Wander? Like, I don't know the answer to that question. But you lock him up early, and then you don't have to worry about it. Like, he's locked up for 12 years. I don't have to worry about anything. And I'm sure there's clauses in that contract that give one side, the authority or power to make a trade. Like, I just think it's a good move. You lock them up early, and you don't have to worry about it moving forward. I watched King Richard last night. Have you seen the King Richard movie about Venus and Serena Williams and their dad? Fantastic job. Will Smith, I just want to say, like, you watch that and you see two things that really kind of stood out to my wife and I as we were watching. One, for like parents to will that into existence is just, I don't know, it may be 1 in a billion chance to even be able to pull that off. Honestly, just the odds are so stacked against you. But then to have that type of talent in your household, recognize it, cultivate it, and they were dominate. Like, I don't think people understand how good Venus and Serena were at a very, very young age. I mean, it's Tiger Woods level prodigies in a sport in which very few black people ever played, especially black women played at that high of a level. And, we talk about Serena Williams today as one of the top 5. Didn't we do that on a Black Box episode? Top 5 greatest athletes ever, not just tennis players, like not just women, top 5 athletes, sport icon ever. Serena Williams being up there with Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, if you want to put Michael Phelps, just whomever it is. I highly recommend that movie. It was really, really, really good to see from Compton, California to the top of their respective sport in tennis. But Jay, the College Football Playoff Committee, they dropped some new rankings and we got some movement. Georgia still sits at number 1, and they did, in fact, put The Ohio State University at number 2 overall. Alabama drops to 3, Cincinnati in the 4th spot, Michigan sitting at 5, and Notre Dame at 6. You know what this means, right? You know what this means,
What does it
right?
mean? Are you changing your stance officially?
No.
I think come on.
Okay, so let's play this out. Alabama loses to Georgia. Ohio State this weekend we got Ohio State, Michigan, right? So we are anticipating our Ohio State to beat Michigan, which will push Michigan down to 6-7, right? Whatever you want to call it, 6-7.
Yeah.
Notre Dame moves up to the 5 spot. So after this weekend of games, these rankings should stay the same. Now you have the Big Ten title, which is going to be Ohio State, Wisconsin, I believe, and then Georgia, Alabama. I do not think Notre Dame is going to jump into the top 4. I don't see that happening, man. We do not want to see Georgia, Notre Dame. I would rather see a repeat of Georgia, Alabama, and we've seen that before. Like, it's not the first. It wouldn't be the first time it's happened. Those teams meet in the SEC title and then end up playing again in the college football playoff. I mean, it just happened 3 years ago. I think Alabama's locked in. I'm not changing my stance. As long as they do not get blown out by Georgia, which I don't think they will, as long as they're not blown out by Georgia, they will stay the number 3 seed, and it's going to piss people off. Because to your point, I don't think they'll bump Alabama down to 4 to have a rematch of that the very next week. I think they'll keep them at 3. Right? I think they'll keep them at 3 and let Ohio State, Alabama play. Georgia will roll Cincinnati, and then Ohio State will probably beat Alabama and then make it to the national championship game. I'm telling you, this is what's going to happen. What did Bruning say? Bruning said Notre Dame doesn't deserve it. Their schedule isn't much better than Cincinnati, and Cincy has the head-to-head. So, Bruning, I'm asking you, my friend, what happens in this college football playoff? Alabama loses to Georgia in the SEC title game. Do they stay at 3 drop down to 4? They're going to be inside the top 4. And, Jay, I've been saying this for how many weeks now? How many weeks have I been saying that they're not dropping out of the top 4? Notre Dame is – even if Alabama loses, Notre Dame is not a better team than Alabama. I do not believe that. They are not a better team than Alabama. You are on mute. Unmute yourself so you could give some input here.
So, question for you, because now we're running more scenarios in our head. So I'm starting to kind of get in your camp. I'm not really running
more scenarios. It's still the same for me.
I got the tinfoil hat on for a minute here.
All right.
So we got Alabama at 3, which you thought if they stayed at 2, they're definitely in. Now they're at 3.
Right.
So if they lose to Georgia by enough, they could get bumped, but they probably won't. But let me run a different scenario in my head for you. What if Ohio State beats Michigan by like 45, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if it happens? And then they go into the Big Ten title game and they win that game by like 50.
Mm-hmm.
What's stopping the committee from putting Ohio State at 1, Georgia at 2, if Alabama plays Georgia tight, and then keeping Alabama at 4 if they lose?
That's
right?
I mean, that scenario could happen. But it still doesn't affect the teams that are inside the top 4, right?
But it would just reshuffle them a little bit.
It reshuffles them. That's a good point. If Ohio State can beat down Michigan and then beat down Wisconsin in the Big Ten title game, and Georgia kind of looks okay versus Alabama, it's a tight game, I can see Ohio State jumping up to number one. I mean, the order in which the teams will be, I think, is all subject to the way they play these next 2 weeks. But I still think Alabama will be a top 4 team when it comes college football playoff time. I do not think they're going to bump them out for Notre Dame. The only other thing that can happen, and if Michigan does beat Ohio State, then that's a wrap. Alabama's definitely a lock for the top 4. That's a wrap. But I just don't foresee that happening. I don't think, Bruning said, I don't think Georgia moves out the number 1 spot because they've been the best team overall this season. Yeah, crazier things have happened. I tend to agree. I tend to agree here. I think Georgia stays. But there is a world in which if Ohio State goes out there and absolutely crushes those 2 teams and Georgia struggles a little bit, I think that could happen. If Oklahoma State or Oklahoma wins out, I think the Big 12 champ gets in. I don't think so. I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. I don't think the Big 12 champs are going to get in this matchup. I respect it, Brunin, but I just don't think so. But we've got to get into the NFL games this weekend, so let's go ahead and do it and beat the rush.
Wake up! This is Beat the Rush.
Get out of the way, jackass!
All right, Jordan, all that crap he talked about me, his camera cut out. Now he's back. Are you back?
Man, what is going on with my internet today? I'm sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting the show. I don't know where we're at, but
I'm having a good flow.
It's absurd.
I'm having a good flow, and you're completely ruining my vibe. I've already done the Beat the Rush drop, so we are ready to go into our next segment with or without you, Skip Richards. But we're good to go. Good to have you back, baby. Let's see. Where are we going? Marquee matchup. Where's the thing at? Where's it at? Yes, the Turkey Bowl. This is the marquee matchup. I don't care what y'all say. This is the marquee matchup for the weekend. The Dallas Cowboys versus my Las Vegas Raiders. Both of my teams are playing against each other tomorrow. Dallas is favored by 8 points in this matchup. And the Dallas Cowboys need a win after that offensive. I think they need to play a lot better. They need a win after that offensive performance, the pathetic offensive performance versus Kansas City over last weekend. Listen, this offense is still one of the best in the NFL when they are healthy, but that is not going to be the case. Apparently, Tyron Smith is back or supposed to be back, and CD is a maybe at best. No Amari Cooper. Ezekiel Elliott's talking about his knee is banged up. It's pain management. They just need to get it done. I don't want to hear the excuses from Dallas. They need to get it done because this is a very winnable matchup versus a Raiders team who's been reeling. They got beat down by the Cincinnati Bengals. I did a film breakdown that's dropping on YouTube later today of Jamar Chase versus the Raiders. And I think Chase had like 39 receiving yards last week, but he could have had, I'm not even kidding you, he could have had like 140. I mean, there was a 60-yard bomb where Joe Burrow and him were just not on the same page that would have gone for a touchdown. He was absolutely destroying whatever number 35 is, whatever his name is, plays corner, and Jonathan Abram, they are a liability for the Raiders secondary. I think Dallas can have a good week. Michael Gallup, if CeeDee Lamb is back, Dalton Schultz should be really good. Utilize Tony Pollard. Got to deal with Max Crosby off the edge. He is a problem for Dallas. But Dallas is going to need to run the ball. Run the ball. Hopefully we see some more Tony Pollard in this matchup. Listen, Joe Mixon had 30 carries for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns last week on this defense. You've got to run the ball. The Raiders, they've played well, especially with Max Crosby, but over the past 2 weeks, they've given up a total of 73 points in their last 2 matchups. So they are surrendering a lot of points and a lot of yards on the ground and through the air versus opposing offenses. On the defensive side of the ball, we know it's going to be Trayvon Diggs and Micah Parsons. When I'm looking at the Raiders, I do think they have an incredible mismatch with Darren Waller. I don't believe that there's anybody on this Dallas team that can cover Darren Waller. Definitely not our safeties, Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, that's not going to happen. KZ, that's not going to happen. And you don't want Micah Parsons, although he did do some good coverage. He had a really nice coverage play against Travis Kelce last week. That's not what you want Micah Parsons doing. You want him being a heat-seeking missile, getting after the quarterback, wreaking havoc in the backfield. So if I were the Raiders, I would target Darren Waller early and often. If you have Darren Waller in fantasy, I think this is a plus matchup for him. They just have nobody that's going to be able to slow down Darren Waller. The Raiders haven't scored more than 16 points, and they've lost in their last 3 games. Giants, Chiefs, Bengals. While the Cowboys, we haven't scored more than 20 in our last 4 outside of that game versus the Falcons. So the Vikings, the Broncos, and the Chiefs haven't even hit 20 points. These are 2 struggling offensive football teams right now. I talked about it a little bit last week. I don't know if Dak is still just a tiny bit affected by that calf injury. I'm not going to make excuses for it. You're making $75 million. Get it done. Player props in this matchup. We've got Dak Prescott, Jay. I'll add you to the screen. We've got Dak Prescott over under 256.5 passing yards and 1.5 touchdowns, plus 400 for an anytime TD. Zeke Elliott, 60.5 rushing yards. Tony Pollard, 39.5 rushing yards. Gallup, 58 receiving yards. Dalton Schultz, 50.5. Anything from Dallas that you like. I'll tell you right now, if I were going to bet this game, which a lot of times I don't like betting Dallas. Like I just want to watch them and enjoy my team play. But if I were going to bet it, I would take the under Zeke's rushing yards, the over Tony Pollard's rushing yards, the over Tony Pollard's receiving yards at 14.5, and I'd probably take the under Dak Prescott passing yards, 256.5. Short week, down weapons, no Amari Cooper, potentially no CeeDee Lamb. There's no way in hell I'm betting the over Dak Prescott's passing yard totals with that much uncertainty outside, and even that uncertainty at left tackle. There's no team in the NFL, none, that's more dependent on a left tackle than the Dallas Cowboys. They need to find a replacement soon. Every time Tyron Smith is out, bad things happen for that offense. And it started like 2 years ago when Adrian Claiborne from the Falcons had like 5.5 sacks versus Dallas when Tyron Smith is out. Every time he's out, this offense suffers. So I would be taking the under on a lot of these Dallas Cowboy props. But I do think with Ezekiel Elliott a little bit banged up, short week, we see a lot more Tony Pollard, and that should yield well in fantasy and for the betting world.
Yeah, no, Ray, I think you nailed it. Dak Prescott under for me. Even if CD does play, we saw him get doubled a lot and couldn't do a whole lot against the Chiefs. I think the same thing would happen against the Raiders. Zeke, like you mentioned, banged up, so I like the under 60.5 there. I'm iffy on the Tony Pollard over rushing, but I'm with you on the receiving. I think the receiving at 14.5 is a beatable number. And then you talked about Waller, right? Waller's only at 69.5 receiving yards, 5.5 receptions. He's coming off a game where he's had 7 receptions for 116 yards, and I don't know who's going to cover him. Maybe they try and throw Diggs on him. I doubt it. It just wouldn't really make sense.
I don't know.
I doubt it. I think it's still a mismatch. And then Hunter Renfrow at 51.5 receiving yards, 5.5 receptions. I like him a bit more at 5.5 receptions. He's had 7 receptions in his last 3 games going into the Bengals game where he didn't hit that mark. So I think he's still a good shot at getting 6. He's hit 6 in 6 of his 11 games. But maybe they throw Diggs on him. But again, I still don't think they do. I still think it's a mismatch no matter who it is out there. I don't really agree with it. But on the game as a whole, I have it in the graphic as 8 points. I just looked it up. It's at 7.5 right now for Dallas. I would be taking the points on the Raiders side. I think this game is going to be an ugly game. I think Dallas is still going to win, but 7.5 now. Too many points for me. I would be taking the Raiders, and I'd be taking the game under at 51. I just don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think Dallas is going to run the ball a lot, protect Dak with how bad he looked last week on a short week. Like you mentioned, run the ball with Pollard. And I think that the Raiders are going to do the same thing. They're going to run the ball with Jacobs, and they're going to move it slowly down the field with Renfrow and with Waller, because that's really all they have on offense, and they haven't been scoring points either. So I think both these teams can't score. How are they going to get to 51? I don't really see a scenario where that happens without CD and especially without Amari. And then the Raiders as well, they can't score either. So I think it's going to be under, and I would be taking the points with the Raiders.
I kind of like Josh Jacobs over 44.5 rushing yards. Clyde found a lot of success versus Dallas early in this one, and Dallas is still down. They're 2 defensive ends. And again, I think people need to understand, Dallas plays Thursday this week, and they also play Thursday next week versus the Saints in the Thursday night matchup. I think they're going to be very cautious with Zeke, and they're going to be very cautious with Dak Prescott. So A lot of the unders for me, the overs, I do like Josh Jacobs over 44. Tony Pollard, both of his over lines. I'm taking the under Dak, the under Ezekiel Elliott. Gallup and Schultz.
I think I would go after Schultz, if any, at 50. But even still, it's a little bit higher than I'd like for Schultz, because that line would probably move if CD was out. So that's the only real hope
that
you're
line
thinking
would probably move, and I still don't trust it. Even though the Raiders secondary is bad, that's a lot of receiving yards for a tight end, right? That's a lot of receiving yards. But let's go Bucks Colts. All right, this is turned into a really good matchup. I know when we were looking at it earlier, we're like, Tampa Bay, Indy. Indy's playing great ball right now. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, they're protecting Carson Wentz, not letting him do Carson Wentz type things. Coming off of 2 impressive wins, one of the hottest running backs in the NFL, the Colts should be just about be a problem for just about anyone they face. This is going to be an interesting matchup. And this game is on Sunday. People. This is not a Thursday game. Excuse me. We went from Thursday to Sunday. We got to get y'all looking ahead because we won't be here. My question to you, you've got great notes in here, and I want you to go through some of them, Jay. I just want to know, Jonathan Taylor versus this Tampa Bay defense. Where are we at with this one? JT versus this Tampa Bay defense. I need to know that before we dive into all the great stats you have. JT versus this defense. Go ahead.
I think if I had to pick, I think I have to roll with the Tampa Bay defense. As much as that pains me, I think that the Tampa Bay defense is going to sell out to stop Jonathan Taylor.
On the road.
And we've seen teams do this before, but I don't think that a team is ready for Jonathan Taylor the way the Bucs will be ready for Jonathan Taylor. They are a championship team, and they know how to stop a team's best weapon. They're not always the best at it, but that secondary looked a lot better this week. Granted, they were playing the Giants, which doesn't mean a whole lot, but it was great to see Sean Murphy bunting out there. It was great to see the secondary playing a little bit better on the back end. They didn't allow any big plays, and Saquon Barkley didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. Again, it's the Giants, but it was encouraging from a defensive standpoint, and I think it gives them momentum heading into this game on Sunday, and that's why I think I'm leaning with the Bucs. If I was to take anything, it's one of those things with JT. It's probably a no bet for me, but if you're making me pick, I would choose the Bucs to shut him down and force Carson Wentz into a lot of mistakes, because that's how you beat Indianapolis. Not to say that he's going to throw a ton of picks, because to be fair to Carson Wentz, he's only thrown 3 this season, but he's going to take a lot of sacks. He takes the most hits in the NFL. The Colts have the 4th most rushing yards per game in the league, obviously behind Jonathan Taylor, but the Bucs now are the best run defense in the league at 78.4. So those are 2 immovable objects going together. Where do they meet in the middle? I don't know, but that's basically a 70-yard gap.
It's the unstoppable force meets the immovable object. That's what it is. Yesterday, I was all...
That sounds about right.
GQ was all tongue twisted up, but you knew what I meant. But yes, it's the unstoppable force meets immovable object, or immovable object meets the unstoppable force. But to talk about the Colts, man, they're allowing pressure on 36% of dropbacks, and Wentz takes a hit on 14% of those dropbacks, which is highest in the NFL. Shaq Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul, Devin White, Ndamukong Suh. I mean, there were plays versus the Giants where they would only rush 3 down linemen, and they were getting sacks on them. Now, again, it's the Giants, it's Daniel Jones, but... I do not know if Quentin Nelson is playing, because that's a big loss. If Quentin Nelson is out, I should have looked this up. I know he got hurt last Sunday versus the Bills, but I don't know if he came back in, if he's out long term. But if he's not in at right guard, you don't see anything on Quentin Nelson, so he should be fine.
He's day-to-day, so he has an ankle injury. So it's nothing too serious. I doubt it's a high ankle sprain if he's only day-to-day. So he's probably just a low ankle sprain, pain management. They'll get him in a brace, tape him up. He'll probably be okay to play.
Yeah, the Colts are 6th in the NFL in yards before contact per attempt, 1.92. And the Bucs are 9th in the NFL in yards before contact with 1.84. Gronkowski should find the end zone versus the Colts. The Colts are terrible against the tight end. There are no lines, no props out for these games right now. It's still super early in the week. So just be on the lookout for Gronk, anytime touchdown scorer in this matchup. He looked good last week. I mean, Tom Brady was going to him. I know he didn't convert a couple of plays, but he's back on the field. He's healthy. So that's going to be interesting to see where Rob Gronkowski, anytime touchdown, sort of opens up. Where do we
Oh,
want to
Ray,
go?
another thing too.
Oh, go ahead.
Bruce Arians says Vita Vea should be good to go versus the Colts.
Well,
he's already back.
He was on the field pregame versus the Giants,
Yeah.
and they were testing it out. So, and he looked like he wanted to go, but they're like, let's hold him out one more week. So now Vita Vea is back. If Jonathan Taylor can dice up this defense, I mean, at that point, he's just
It's over. Offensive Player of the Year.
It's over. It's Offensive Player of the Year if he can dice up this defense. All right. Speaking of dicing up defenses, Mac Daddy Jones, battle for the AFC crown versus Ryan Air Tannehill. Just recently released Adrian Peterson, man. AP is done. I mean, 36 years old. I mean, the fact that he even was on the field this year is a testament to his work ethic and just the way he keeps his body at 36. And here I am at 36 talking about I can go out there and run step for step with Jamar Chase. I would get smoked. But the Patriots, right? They flexed this game too. I believe this is now the Sunday night matchup. I don't know if you caught those notes, Jay, but I believe they flexed this one. The game that was supposed to be in the Sunday night slot, I think it was
Ravens and Browns.
Yeah, they moved that one. I believe they flexed this into the Sunday night spot. I'm almost positive that they did that this upcoming week. So Mac Jones will be in prime time. I'm almost positive. You can check it out. But the Patriots have been on a tear defensively, allowing only 13 points in their last 3 games. Is that 13 points per game or 13 points total in their last 3 games for New England?
No, 13 total, because remember they shut out the Falcons,
Good
then
Lord.
they allowed 7 against the Browns, and then 6 against whoever they played the week before. But yes, 13 points in their last 3 games total.
And they've scored 94. So,
yes, sir.
I mean, that's the recipe for success. They're third in the NFL in yards allowed per game with 318. And they're playing a middle-of-the-pack Tennessee Titans defense that struggled the past few weeks without Derrick Henry. And I know Derrick Henry doesn't affect the defense, but when you can control the ground game the way that Tennessee could with Derrick Henry, it does take pressure off the defense, gives them some time to rest and regroup and get back on the field and be dominant. We know that Bill Belichick is probably going to take away A.J. Brown. And, it's going to be, Westbrook Akina. Is that his name? Westbrook Akine? I like him, man.
It's Westbrook Akina. But, yeah, I wrote that more phonetically for you because I don't remember exactly how to spell his name. But, yeah, you were right the first time. It's Westbrook Akina. And I'll thank Jake Seeley for that.
He had
our
some
man
nice
at All in
plays
Football.
later on, but I highly doubt Marcus Johnson and Westbrook Akina are going to beat the New England Patriots. So it's going to be Deontay Foreman, Dontrell Hilliard versus the Pats. Mac should have his way against this defense. I think Mac should do what he does versus these defenses. Call it whatever you want. Dink and dunk, middle area targets. It doesn't matter. He's one of the best young quarterbacks that we've seen come through the NFL in a very long time. And the line has moved up to 6.5. Listen, Chris says, is A.J. Brown even playing? Yeah, but he'll get hurt at some point in the game because that's what he does, and he'll limp off or run off and come back in. What are your thoughts on this one? Do you think New England gets it done? And if they do, they're 8-4. They're 8-4, the New England Patriots.
Sir.
My whole thing, this is the path in which Mac Jones wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. He gets New England in the playoffs. He plays well enough to set some kind of QB rookie completion percentage records. This is how he does it. And Jamar Chase's past 3 weeks, not eclipsing 50 yards, is opening that door for Mac Jones, who right now, according to DraftKings Sportsbook, is the front runner for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Anything else you have to say about this one, Jay?
No. So to touch on, it was Chris's point, right? A.J. Brown had a rib injury last game, so we'll see what happens. But he had chest X-rays on his ribs. They came back negative, so he should be okay in that regard. Whether he's dealing with more injuries, hard to say. He gets banged up a lot. It's funny to have him and Julio on the same team because Julio's his idol, but he's been falling into that same mold. When he's on the field, he's great, but he gets banged up a lot out there. But either way, I think the Pats can cover this game. I'm just not sure about the over/under at 44.5. I mean, it probably goes under, but with how many points the Pats have been scoring recently, maybe it does go over. The problem is like you have the Vrabel versus Belichick game, which is going to be a big deal. Vrabel's his former player and all that stuff, so he knows him very well. He knows the system very well. But I just don't know how I feel about the Titans. They just don't have enough pieces. And I even wrote it in the show notes, how much different are they than the Falcons? Like, realistically, they have one dude, A.J. Brown. They have some other guys that are just guys, and they have no running game.
Right.
The defense is much better than the Falcons, but on offense, it should be a similar game plan as they ran against the Falcons, and they'll probably dominate the whole game. This defense for the Patriots is playing at a championship level, and I don't see how they're not going to dominate, especially playing at home. I think when we looked at it yesterday, the line was 5.5, and it's already moved to full point. It may keep moving in that direction with how bad the Titans are playing and how banged up they are right now.
All right, so I got the flexes wrong. So they did flex New England, but it's versus the Colts. It's the New England Colts game that got flexed to Sunday night. So that's, I don't know why they would do that now, but I guess they're just anticipating that's going to be like a big AFC battle.
A bigger matchup,
So
yeah.
this Sunday, New England, Tennessee is still going to be at 1 p.m. Week 15, New England, Indianapolis was the game that was flexed. So I just wanted to clarify that for everybody. I misspoke. I'm reporting fake news out here. Get it together. I'm fake news spreader, GQ. All right, what is this one? This is the San Francisco-Minnesota game. I don't know. This is I'm going to rely on you and your tinfoil Justin Jefferson hat with this one. Is the game in San Francisco, so it's outdoors? Oh, boy. Does that mean
this is tough? This
what
is
do we
tough.
do with Justin
So,
Jefferson?
the tinfoil hat is going through some problems right now. This is one where, Justin Jefferson, like we talk about, in indoor games, he averages 103 yards per game. Outdoors, he averages 60, which is a very wide spread and doesn't make any sense at all. But what is more annoying than all of this, and I will get into this in the next game, but when I was looking up splits for the Rams, SoFi Stadium is listed as an outdoor arena because it has a breeze through or something. I need to know who classifies these stadiums.
Right.
If there is no fear of rain, if there is no fear of snow, if there is no fear of really anything other than a little bit of wind, why on earth is SoFi Stadium considered an outdoor stadium? I don't know if that's just how Elliott set up the FTN splits tool. Maybe I'll have to talk to him about that. Okay. But I don't understand it. Like, can you please clarify why this happens? I don't know.
I don't know, but I honestly don't know. This game is a tough one to predict because I can see San Francisco winning it. I can see what do you think?
Okay, this easy game. Okay. Bet the over in this one. Easily.
Okay. Over 40. Easy. So the over is 48.5.
48. Yeah. Bet the over, 48.5, easy money. Vikings average 30 points a game on the road. It's going to keep happening. They keep doing it. Take Adam Thielen's over on his yards because he plays better on the road. Justin Jefferson, take the under because he's not going to get over 75 yards. I believe it was Prize Picks had his number at 77.5. No thanks. He only averages 60 on the road, so the tinfoil hat is going to roll with Jefferson unders. Thielen's averaging 6.5 receptions, 65.5 yards, and a touchdown when playing on the road. So I'm taking those numbers. Last week, I believe he's only at 56 yards for his over-under. Had 8 receptions, 80 yards. Again, Thielen on the road, much better than playing at home for some reason, whatever. But they're playing in San Francisco, so the weather should be good. But on top of that, the Vikings, they can't stop the run. They're 6th worst in the NFL, allowing 127 yards per game, and the San Francisco 49ers are rushing for 123 yards per game. So those numbers line up perfectly for a nice 130-yard game for Elijah Mitchell or whoever's running the ball, Deebo Samuel. Man, I feel so bad. I need to apologize to Deebo Samuel.
Everyone does. Everyone
I have not made graphics for him. I have not featured him at all until very recently. I don't think until last week. And he just continues to ball out. He had, I believe, 50 yards on the ground and 60 through the air last week.
No. He had 15 receiving yards and 79 rushing yards and still was a top 12 wide receiver. I mean, he's the ultimate. We keep talking about JT and Cooper Kupp. I want to know what Deebo Samuel's odds for Offensive Player of the Year is because he is going nuts. And his yards after the catch average and totals, I think he's got more yards after the catch this season than the number 5. It's one of the top 10 wide receivers has in total for the year. I mean, Deebo's been balling. To Justin Jefferson's point, the past 2 weeks he's been incredible. 8 for 169 versus the Packers, 9 for 143 versus the Chargers. So he's on a tear, and you heard Mike Zimmer say whatever Justin Jefferson is doing, he needs to do more. We need more touches. He needs more targets. Let's continue to feed him the ball. So I'm inclined to take the over on Justin Jefferson. I get it, But big-time game, weather should be good in the Bay Area, and I just don't know who they have that's going to cover him. Jimmy Ward, Josh Norman, Justin Jefferson, and he runs all the important routes, man. He's running those deep 20-yard dig routes. He's running the post corners. He's running those 20-yard out routes. I mean, all the important air yards, Justin Jefferson is doing that. He's getting down the field. I'm inclined to just stay in the flames with Justin Jefferson. I do like Adam Thielen to score a touchdown, but I think the curse has been lifted. I hope so, because I really like the over for Justin Jefferson. And then also another receiver, second-year player who's seeing his value increase again is Brandon Naiuk. He played 90% of the snaps each of the last 3 weeks, and in 2 of the last 3 games, he's had at least 6 receptions, 85 yards, and a touchdown. So he's got another beatable matchup versus Minnesota, so maybe a sneaky play. Brandon Ayuk starting to get back on track. I know I was really, really high on him after last season. Talked about him being one of the better rookie wide receivers that nobody was talking about. They've got a lot of young pieces, man. Whenever Trey Lance does take over at quarterback, you've got Kittle, you've got Ayuk, Elijah Mitchell in the backfield, Deebo Samuel. There are a lot of pieces around this San Francisco offense that should set up well for years to come. And I think this is going to be a really high-scoring affair, really good matchup. I think Elijah Mitchell, is he playing? I'm not sure. I know that the finger injury, he had the little surgery on his finger. But I think this is going to be a really good matchup and a lot of points. And probably this will be the game that we thought we were going to get out of Dallas, Kansas City last week. Neither of these teams are in the business of stopping anybody. So I think this should be a good matchup for some points in this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. And people need to give more credit to Jimmy G, right? We saw our boy Eric
100%.
Crocker go off on Twitter in a big thread about Jimmy G and how great he's been playing. Everyone wants Trey Lance, but why would you go to Trey Lance when Jimmy Garoppolo was executing the offense at an extremely high level? Yeah. And I believe this game is the Sunday night game. So we're going to see more featured Jimmy G. And people may not like it, but he's playing really, really well. And coming off, what was it, Monday Night Football 2 weeks ago? He went like 20 for 25 or something. It was just really good football. Masterful football. Yeah. Masterful football from Jimmy G so far.
He's been playing great football. And then the last game of our Fab Five that we're going to talk about, the Rams are back in town, baby. Cooper Kupp is back. Devontae Adams doing his damn thing. Wait a minute. Hold on. Future Browns QB, Jimmy G. I saw people posting this.
Why not?
I saw people, would you rather have Jimmy Garoppolo or Baker Mayfield? Bruning, I know you're a big Baker fan, but I don't know. He better put it together these last couple of weeks because I don't know. I think I'm out on Baker Mayfield. But Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, I'd say the 2 best receivers in the NFL right now, Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams. Matthew Stafford versus Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is dealing with a foot injury, apparently. And he's not going to practice all week. I honestly didn't expect Rodgers ain't going to practice anymore. Rodgers is like, I'm showing up to the games. I'm going to do my thing. Leave me alone. Weather shouldn't be a problem. It's going to be a brisk 38 degrees. And the Rams, Matt Stafford and this LA team, coming off of the bye, I'm hoping they involve Darrell Henderson a little bit more. It's going to be interesting with another week under his belt, how they integrate Odell Beckham Jr. The Packers defense have yet to allow more than 17 points in any game at home. So they are very tough defense to beat at Lambeau Field. Now, they haven't played anybody worth a damn, and Minnesota just put a beat down on them. They were at home. But, Devontae Adams getting under his belt. A.J. Dillon's season really didn't play out like we thought it would last week, but it's going to be a heavy dose of Adams. MVS is back. Josiah DeGuara, their second-year tight end from Cincinnati, he's starting to step up a little bit in replace of Robert Tonyan. I don't know what to do with this one. It's a pick'em. I mean, Green Bay -1 is literally a pick'em. Look at the money line, 106 and 111. It's a pick'em.
And it's moving. And it's moving towards the Rams. It's only half a point now. It's a literal pick'em as it stands.
When I see stuff like that, I'm just staying away from the spread because they don't even know what the hell is going to go on. This is an important matchup, I think, for both teams. The Packers coming off of an L, and the Rams, what they lost to San Francisco right before they went on bye. So two teams vying for that number 1 seed in the NFC. They both need a win here. How do you think this game is going to play out?
I honestly think the Packers are going to take care of business at home. If there's one thing that we can count on, it's the Packers playing well at home. They're going to be playing well in Lambeau Field. But I got to give Matthew Stafford some credit. He's played really well at Lambeau Field as well. You know, we think of Jared Goff and some of these other quarterbacks, the Cali guys, the South guys, who aren't as used to playing these types of conditions. Matthew Stafford has played exceptionally well. Since 2014, he's averaged 282 yards and 2 touchdowns at Lambeau Field, and that's playing for the Detroit Lions. So what is he going to do with the LA Rams, with Odell Beckham for another week? I think that's the biggest X factor here, is how well do they integrate Odell Beckham into the offense over the bye week? Because if there's one thing that they can't expect from the Packers defense is, what is Odell going to do? How is he going to be used? It's really the first time we're going to see Odell integrated into the offense in a real way. You know, the San Francisco game was just thrown together. He decided to play, didn't play a whole lot of snaps. Now I expect him to play probably anywhere from 50 to 70% at least, and could be even higher than that. He's got 2 weeks to prepare. Sean McVay is going to be drilling info into his head all week long because they need him to play. They need him to play well. They don't have Robert Woods. But I still don't think it's going to make a difference. I still think that Rodgers is going to take care of business at home. They're going to run the ball a lot. They're going to control the clock. And I think the Rams need, like you mentioned, run the ball a lot more as well. Mm-hmm. They can't just throw to Cooper Kupp all day long because it hasn't gotten them any results in recent memory. So they need to be more balanced. They need to get the ball to OBJ. They need to run the ball with Henderson a little bit more. But I think that the Packers take care of business at home. I think they play really, really well in this game. They're scoring less points at home than on the road, but that's not a big deal for me. I still think that the game's going to be close, and I'd probably pick the Packers to win at home.
I mean, you make a compelling case, man. I don't know. I think it's going to boil down to, for me, it's what do the Rams do on the ground? Do they do enough on the ground to kind of keep that Green Bay defense from reeling back and just pressuring Matt Stafford and selling out, making him throw the ball quickly? How do they stop Cooper Kupp? He runs out of so many different formations, out wide, out of the slot. I think it's going to come down to that ground game. Sony Michel, Darrell Henderson, how they incorporate that ground game to kind of keep Green Bay at bay. But I think that's how it's going to play out. And right now, at half a point, LA by half a point, I would stay away from it. Interested to see the lines that come out for this one, like A.J. Dillon's receiving yards. I don't know about his yards, but he's catching the ball a ton. I think he had 6 receptions last week.
Yeah.
So that prize pick will probably open it up at 3.5 or 4.5 receptions for A.J. Dillon. I'd be inclined to take the over on A.J. Dillon's receptions. Devontae Adams probably going to be one of those, Adams versus Jalen Ramsey. That's going to be another game inside the game. Jalen Ramsey, he's not really shadowing as much. He's playing that star position where he's sort of a hybrid safety. He's playing like Tyrann Mathieu, which has really helped that Rams defense out. He can lock up anybody he wants to at any given time. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm interested to see how that plays out. I think this is going to be a really good matchup. I can't believe this isn't the Sunday night game, Rams versus Packers. But we'll see when the lines come out. But, anything else? We got the Eagles versus the Giants. I'm looking at that.
You want to do a rapid fire before we head out of here?
Yeah, let's go rapid fire. What do we got?
All right, so we got the Bears and Lions, 3 points. Who do you like in that game?
Chicago, Andy Dalton. I don't believe in
taking Andy Dalton and the 3 points on the road in Detroit. Okay, then we got Buffalo, New Orleans. Buffalo favored by 6. It was actually 6.5, so money's going towards New Orleans in this one, but Buffalo favored by 6 in the Superdome.
Give me New Orleans in the points.
Okay, all right. Then heading to Sunday, 1 o'clock, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Cincinnati favored by 4.5. It's close. Pittsburgh's so in that game, I believe the over/under was only like 45 points, and I was looking at the over. I think both those teams are looking pretty good.
I would take the over. I would take the over total points. I don't know who's on. I would take the over total points in that one.
All right, so then we got the ugly game of Carolina, Miami. Carolina favored by 2.
Yeah, I'll take Carolina. I like Carolina.
Cam Newton, I like that. Then we got Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles going into New York, like we talked about earlier in the week. 3.5 points.
Philly.
Then you got Atlanta, Jacksonville. Atlanta favored by 1.5 on the road in Jacksonville.
Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think so too.
Jacksonville.
And then you got Zach Wilson starting for the New York Jets, going to Houston, and Houston's favored by 2.5. Elijah Moore, baby. Elijah Moore.
Zach Wilson back. I'd probably take Houston. I'd probably take Houston
I would too.
In that one. I'd probably take
Houston in the points.
So
one of the games that did make our Fab Five, but should be a good game. The Chargers going into Denver. Chargers favored by 3.
Yeah, I like Los Angeles. I like Los Angeles.
All right. Then
And
you got our ugly game at night, Sunday Night Football. Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Ravens. Ravens favored by 4. Lamar Jackson hopefully will be back. You know, I haven't heard much about him, but
if Lamar plays, I'm taking Baltimore. If Lamar plays.
And then you got Monday Night Football. I just want your early thoughts. Seattle, Washington.
That's the
Washington
Monday night
favored by
game?
half a point. Yeah, it's an ugly game. Pick 'em, Seattle, Washington in Washington.
I'm taking Washington.
I'd probably take Washington. I don't know.
I'm taking Washington. Seattle's done. Russ needs to find a new home. Seattle's done. That's the
Russ
Monday
needs to
night
find
game?
a new restaurant to cook in. Yeah, it's
yeah,
ugly.
Russ ain't
That's
cooking
just late.
anymore. There's no more Russ cook. That is a wrap. Pete Carroll needs to be gone. They need to blow it up. That window closed. You should have ran
It's
Marshawn
bad.
Lynch. Should have ran Marshawn Lynch at the 1. They would have at least had 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. Or I think they would have went. Did they go back to back? They may have gone back to back. But they would have had. I know they would have had 2 Super Bowl wins like in a matter of 3 years' time. Really cemented that team as like a mini. I'm not gonna call them a dynasty, but a very good 2-year stretch from the Legion of Boom. That window's done. Russ needs a new team. Pete Carroll needs to go. Seattle is a dumpster fire. I'll take Washington. Taylor Heineke quietly playing his way to being the starting quarterback in 2022.
You think so, eh?
I think so. I've heard a lot of people say he deserves that job next year. If Washington went in a different direction and did something to help out another area of that team, solidified something on the line, get some defensive back help, I think Heineke is more than capable of being a starting quarterback in the NFL. I'm not saying he's some long-term Pro Bowl caliber guy, but I like what I've seen from him, Taylor, today. I keep calling him Tyler. I like what I've seen from Taylor Heineke. And they did give him a little 2-year extension before the season started. So maybe they take a developmental quarterback, maybe in the second round. Let's just say like a Desmond Ridder is there in the second round.
Yeah.
They draft him. They let Heineke start the 2022 season. See what they have in him. But, yeah.
Let's see what he can do. Because remember, he does have Dallas and Philly
We'll
alternating for 4 straight
4
weeks.
straight weeks.
Which is going to be tough.
Well, if he can hopefully he beats Philadelphia a couple of times to help the Cowboys out. We need it. But, Jay, good stuff, man. I appreciate it. Another successful week of the Wake Up with Ray G show. I think this is like episode 74, 75 for us now.
Something like
that. We gotta do something special when we get to episode 100. We'll talk to Kevin. Maybe we'll give some of our loyal viewers, Lindsey Mack, Broning, Ty, Chris, people who tap in every day. Maybe we'll have something a little special for those people who have supported us from the beginning. But we just want to say thank you. We appreciate y'all. Whether you celebrate this holiday tomorrow or not, I hope you have a fantastic week. I hope you have a good time watching all the games. They're profitable for you. Stay tapped into us. Follow Jordan on Twitter. Follow myself. Follow the Bets TV YouTube channel. Check out BetsTV.com. Y'all be safe, and we will be back bright and early Monday morning. Wake Up with Ray G. Y'all have a good one. We out. Peace.